I can't believe it's part 3. Oh my god. I thought I was gonna do it in 2 parts. But freaking Henry's character is like too crazy. It's like, dude, like, be nice. Like, can't you be nice? Have you ever thought about being nice before? Seriously, like, I don't get like why he's such a hater. It's almost like he's in the closet or something. You know, it's like, just keep saying you hate women. Just keep saying you hate women, Henry. Okay, so what's going on? Well, Henry is breaking the news to Dorian. He keeps going on and on about, like, basically how women are pets. Like, there's something that I find very strange that he says, which is probably going to really, really affect some of us. So trigger warning out there. Oh yeah, if you don't know who I am, I'm Biscali. Every sort of okay online for you. What are we reading? We're reading The Picture of Dorian Gray. This is part 3 of chapter 8 summary. There's a lot to break down. Let me breathe. Let me sip some water. Dorian's like dissociating. Literally, he's like, it was like so long ago. Like, it must how, like, you know, how bizarre and serendipitous and beautiful. Like, what? Okay. It doesn't seem like Henry has like a high opinion of humans, especially women. He says, women appreciate cruelty, downright cruelty, more than anything else. They have wonderfully primitive instincts. We've emancipated them, but they remain slaves looking for their masters all the same. They love being dominated. Doesn't he sound like a guy with a podcast and a microphone being things about? That's literally Henry right now. How dare him? How dare him? No, really, like, he's been minimizing Sybil Vane's death. So I wanted to get into this part about Sybil Vane's death. He goes on to say that there's just something about consciousness, or having a conscious, makes egoists of us all. And as I said, Henry's character is like that little devil character, but he's also kind of like one's ego. A lot of the more selfish and, I would say, darker parts, manipulative parts of human nature are just split portions of the psyche that are embodied within the ego, to essentially surround the id. Now, Dorian and I guess Henry's attempt to make Dorian feel better so he doesn't grieve, so he can just kind of go on with the show, and continue to be supply for him, because let's be real, there's something pathological about Henry's character at his roots, right? So they're kind of romanticizing Sybil Vane's death. Now, I could understand Dorian romanticizing it because he's going through a state of denial and dissociation and derealization. Henry, on the other hand, I have no idea. His motivation in this situation just seems like he wants Henry just to go with him to the opera. And he goes on to say, I'm glad I'm living in a century when such wonders happen. They make me believe in the reality of things we play with, such as romance, passion, and love. When I read this part of chapter 8, I instantly thought of the Muses. I did read the Metamorphoses by Ovid, and these types of things like passion, love, romance, these are essentially like deities. When we're swept up by these emotions, it's almost as though they're not real until personified through a great act, or as though someone becomes possessed by it or embodies it. And when I think of that, I think of Leviathan, like when we read Leviathan, how when someone can embody an emotion so much, they seem to be a person possessed, right? So it's like, for Henry, there's something so poetic about this, and he's trying to like pass this to Dorian, but I don't think Dorian can process it like that. Not with such a profound consciousness. And I don't even know if Henry really gets it like that. But me, as the reader, that was my interpretation. Another thing was that he says that essentially Sybil Vane is a genius, but like in a very apathetic, cold way. He says, "You said to me that Sybil Vane represented to you all the heroines of romance. She was Desdemona, Ophelia, and she died as Juliet, and she would come back to life as Imogen," right? All these different romantic characters she played because she was an actress, and yet she doesn't come back to life. And in a weird way, if anything, I think what Henry is trying to let Dorian know is that she was nothing but a projection of your idea of romance. So he's basically saying, like, your love for her was inherently superficial anyways. I know, but it's true. And that's what I hate about Henry's characters. Like you can't deny that part. You cannot deny that it was his own projection. She was nothing but an idea to Dorian. He didn't like her. He liked what she could have been in relation to him. I wanted to touch on some of these like allusions to Greek mythology, especially, I mean, obviously we were thinking about the muses, right, with the whole romance stuff, and Sybil Vane is now being kind of seen as a martyr to someone like Dorian, which is okay, but it's like, oh my god, she was like so in love with me that when she couldn't have me, she like died about it. Like, oh my god, like he is the prettiest girl at the party. But now he's kind of thinking about, well, like, at least I don't have to suffer like from ugliness or age or whatever. It's a portrait will, and I'll be fine. And he kind of, there's this line where it's like, in boyish mockery of Narcissus, he used to kiss or feign a kiss to his portrait, like he would almost kiss himself, right? Like, because it's such a pretty picture. And now it's going to be doomed to become ugly and something that you might have to hide away. But it just made me think of that story, the mythology of Narcissus and Echo, where what the old woman fortune teller lady says to Narcissus' mom is, should he ever know himself, his soul is doomed. Or what is it? Should he ever know himself, he will perish. So this portrait is much like the pool of water that Narcissus looks upon in the mythology. And that's where we'll leave it. He goes to the opera, he acts like nothing happened, he moves on with his life. I'll see you for chapter 9. I'm Miss Dolly.